Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all this morning? I want to talk today about the fact that they can kill you anywhere, and the importance of being ready, and the understanding that there is no safe place except for the place you make safe for yourself and those depending on you. First off, if you haven't watched the last video that I put up, the short doesn't have me on it. It has it's probably a 12-minute, 15-minute video of the Liberty lanterns that Hondo Bob sent to me. You will want to watch that. I would suggest wait until evening or nighttime to watch it. It's best watched at night. It's just beautiful. And it's grab yourself a cup of coffee or a bourbon or whatever it is you drink, Diet Dr. Pepper, and sit there and watch that and enjoy it and relax and think about what those things mean. Again, thank you and I had some questions. A lot of people have asked the questions. Hondo Bob put the materials list and the instructions on how to make those lanterns over on the community page of the Patreon channel. Okay, so all of the people have been asking how to make them, where to get them. He's put all of that over there. Another reason you should be on Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, you're missing so much. And the way to do it only costs you $1 a month. And the link is down there in the information section, as is how to get our sponsor. And as always, this is brought to you by The Reversion. No matter if you saw some Lululemon ads on the front of this, brought to you by The Reversion and the Stonemont series. The series that explains in depth, in a novel form, in a fun, in an interesting, exciting story. Somebody said it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you think, it'll make you cry again, it'll teach you, it'll make you cry again. In a series that will tell you everything that you need to know about survival, about preparedness, about being prepared and then surviving a catastrophic collapse, rebuilding from it. It's about family, it's about foundational values, it's about community, and as I always say, if you like the right kind of things, you'll like these books. It's got good guys and bad guys, and the bad guys get taken care of the way that they ought to be. Okay, so you can get that down there. It's the links on how to do it are down below in the information section, and a pinned comment, and a way to get them from me autographed if you would like. I hope that I talked about that long enough to tick off the people who, not having books of their own, get all upset when I advertise my books. Okay, there was a I want to talk about people getting killed and why, and what you can do about it, and what a dangerous place the world is. There was a story not too long ago, and it was a family who was murdered up in Iowa. They were and I was going to do a video on this, and I just got too busy. I never got around to it. It's still on my list, but I'll throw it in on this one. It was a family who was camping in Iowa. Father, mother, daughter, and son. And while they were camping, 3 of the 4 were murdered. The father was stabbed and shot. The mother was stabbed and shot. The daughter was, I think, stabbed and strangled. And the son, the little boy, apparently survived. I don't know if he wasn't attacked at all or whatever, but it's a situation. A lot of people, they love to go camping. I understand that. And some people think of the parks as nice, safe places to go. The first thing is, although people can be dangerous, isolation can also be dangerous, because the crazies are not limited to the large cities. Okay, I can tell you, I've been a big city cop, I've been a deputy sheriff, and I've been a small town marshal, and I tell you, there are crazies in all of them. Okay, and violence happens in the cities fast, but when it happens out in an isolated place where nobody can hear your screams, it can start fast and last a long time, and it can be horrendous. That brought me to what I saw on the news today, and I want to read you this article and then talk about it. And it's about you being ready to take care of yourself. This is about preparedness, not just about if the world comes down, but about being prepared every day, because that's what true preparedness is. It's not just getting ready for something, some hobby that you're getting ready for down the road somewhere that may or may not happen the way that you have prepared for. And think about it, it's being ready every minute of every day. And a lot of people just don't have it in their heads to do that. And these people are called victims. Okay, let me read this. College student, this is, where was this from? NBC News. Yeah, they still occasionally report the truth, whatever. College student is slain in a national park by a woman pretending to be a stranded motorist. Authorities say the 5-year-old child of a second suspect drew on police with a loaded shotgun as his mother was being taken into custody. Okay, now listen carefully to this. And I'll put this, if I remember, I'll post this. When I put this up over on Patreon, I'll post the article there so you can get a look at it. Okay. A would-be robber, like I said, this is from NBC. It's written by David K. Lee. A would-be robber pretending to be a stranded motorist killed a Florida college student who had pulled his own weapon in self-defense during a gunfight in Alabama, authorities say. Now, there's a bunch of lessons in here, so. And some of you know all this. Some of you, this won't be any surprise, but this is for those of you who need to be tuned up on this a little bit, okay? Adam Simji, 22, and his girlfriend, Michaela Paulus, both students at the University of Central Florida, were driving through Talladega National Forest near Chiaha, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, Chiaha or Chiha State Park, when they were flagged down Sunday by suspect Yasmin Hyder, the Clay County Sheriff's Office said in a statement. Hyder said her car had broken down, and when the victims offered their help, she produced a gun and made the couple walk back into the woods, according to the sheriff. Secondly, there's a lot of lessons here, but in case I forget to say this, never allow yourself to be taken to a secondary location. Your chances of survival diminish greatly. Yes, I teach this stuff. Simji then pulled his concealed handgun and wounded Hyder multiple times before he too was shot and then died at the scene. Paulus, who was not wounded in the shootout, called 911 and told authorities there was another woman with Hyder. Searchers eventually found the suspect's camp about a half-mile away, where they had been living off the grid, according to the sheriff's statement. That's where police officers and deputies found second suspect Crystal Diane Pinkins and her young child. As officers were ordering the female to the ground, a 5-year-old child ran from the woods holding a loaded shotgun, the sheriff said. Law enforcement told the child to put the shotgun down. However, the child continued to the female's location before laying the gun on the ground. Okay, Pinkins remained in custody, booked on suspicion of blah, blah, blah. Hyder was taken to the hospital, eventually be jailed on suspicion of murder, blah, blah, blah. Judge has ordered a gag order. Simji was a finance major at UCF, where he has been enrolled since last fall. Okay, let's go to some lessons here. When I first saw this, I could tell this kid was a victim. I'm sorry what happened to him. I can tell by looking at his eyes. He's got soft eyes. He's got soft eyes and friendly eyes. just like the last 2 police officers who were killed here in the Kansas City area. They had guns and soft eyes. And that's because they thought having the gun prepared them for something, prepared them to deal with what they said they were going to deal with. But I'll guarantee you that none of them internalized what that really meant. Okay, so you can go to it and, Steve, how can you say that? You can't judge people by how they look. You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't if you don't have experience. But I happen to have a lot of experience, and I can tell you exactly about this young fella, and it's too bad. I'm sure he was great at computers. And I imagine that he went and got another. Here's some more lessons. He was carrying a gun. Good. But like I've said before, I told a story about when my son and I went over to the range and the idiots that I saw shooting guns. These people, they weren't even hobbyists because they weren't taking it seriously enough. They were fantasizing. These are gun fantasists. Okay? They fantasize. They read gun magazines. They watch some YouTube videos. They talk to their bros about it. And then they go out and buy almost always a 9mm, which is stupid. Okay, we're going to get to that in a minute. I'm sorry for all you Niners, but it is. Crying out loud, get a more effective handgun. This is going to point it out. And I don't know what kind of handgun this kid had, but I'll bet it was a 9mm because that's what everybody wants and everybody carries. Now, if it comes back he was carrying a 40 or something like that, people will come back and say, see. Well, okay. I'm speaking in generalities here. So she pretended, so this kid is soft. He's soft eyes. He got a gun because it was the cool thing to do. He probably went to if they have to go to a class to carry a gun wherever he lives, he went to the basic class that told him things like always make sure that the hole in the barrel is pointed the other way, stuff like that, But he probably played with it and probably, was quite enamored with it and stuck it in his pants thinking that the having of it would be all he would need. That would protect him. He's ready to go. Now, I'm going to compliment him in a minute. You shouldn't be tearing down the dead guy. I'm not tearing him down. What I'm saying, here's some lessons, okay? And I've seen a lot of this. I'm not speaking from ignorance. So any of you who want to come on here and argue with me, make sure you... Make real sure that you have some experience and are offering your opinion in the right way. So, the would-be robber pretending to be a stranded motorist, okay, stopping for people along the road. You got to be careful with that. There are some times that I will stop to help people. I will never stop to help anybody when my family's with me, okay? Okay, Adam Sinji, blah, 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 both students, blah, blah, blah. They were flagged down Sunday by Yasmin Hyder saying she had car trouble. Victims offered to help. She produced a gun and made the couple walk back into the woods. Okay, here again, never, ever, did I say ever? Allow yourself to be taken to a secondary location. Worse things happen at secondary locations than at the primary point. Why? Because usually the primary point of a meeting is in a more public place than the secondary place to which you will be taken. Would she have fired? Would she have shot him when they're right out there on the road with the chance of somebody else coming down the road in the next second? You can't be sure. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But they weren't thinking about this. You see, he had some training. Point your gun, shoot. Okay, now you're trained. No, you're not trained in surviving. Survival training with guns, and that's different than bushcrafting. Survival training is different than qualifying with a gun because it's about mindset. It's about being ready. It's about getting out of the fantasy and into the reality. And if you haven't been in the reality, which most people haven't, I understand, you at least need to try to internalize and make it as real as possible. Go through the drills. Go through the go through the visualization. What should I do if such and such happens? And be ready. Okay. So she pulls a gun and makes them walk back into the woods. And of course, probably what's going on in their mind is, well, first off, they probably froze. If you've heard me, long ago, because I've always trained people on this, in an attack situation, you have three enemies: confusion, fear, and the attacker. Okay? The kids are probably going through confusion. What should we do? These are a couple of college kids, you know. They're more at home on their keyboard than they are with a gun or with violent situations. And so, okay, a gun, oh my gosh, I got to do what they say. Okay, that's the first thing. You got to make your decision. Do I do what they say? Do I go back into the woods? Oh, maybe I can talk them out of it. Maybe I can make them think. Maybe I can do all these stupid things that people at the college seminars say. Make them see me as a human. You know, appeal to their humanity. Hey, guys, somebody point a gun at you, you are way beyond that. Okay. So this girl made him walk into the woods. Simji then pulled his concealed handgun and wounded Hyder multiple times. Okay, he pulled it. Good for him. He got it out. He made the decision. Okay, I guess this is going downhill. I'd better do something. I'm not going to be able to talk our way out of this. And he pulled his gun. Now, he wounded Hyder multiple times. We don't know what multiple means, but multiple means more than one, right? Couple of things there. He needed more gun. And I know for all you, well, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I ran into, to all you small caliber people, I ran into a guy just 2 days ago. Actually, it was, well, I was helping my nephew move some things. There was a guy there, older guy. Somehow my nephew and I got talking about guns. The guy pipes in. Yeah, I got him, I don't remember whether it was a 380 or a 9mm, which is it's the same caliber. It's the same diameter. Okay. I don't know if it's a 380 or a 9mm. He says, it's small to carry, it's nice to carry. It's one of those guys that thinks he wants to get in the conversation, right? And so he uses that little bit that he knows and tries to make it look like he knows a lot. He says, it's easy to carry and it may be small coming, but it's big when it comes out. My nephew looked at me like, oh my gosh, what did he just say? What are you gonna do, Steve? Are you gonna take him apart or are you gonna let it go? And I just smiled and walked off. You know, there's some people you can't teach. Okay, stopping power and has to do with tissue damage, shock, and blood loss. Very simple. Okay? The more tissue damage you can inflict, the more shock is a result, the faster the blood loss. That's what it's all about. The bigger the bullet, the more damage. Need I say more? Okay. The other thing in here, and for anybody on their keyboard, I read in a gun magazine that such and such. Okay, as I've said, here's the caveat. If you want to disagree, you first explain. Tell us in detail the gunfight you were involved in, the calibers involved, and then tell us all about all the different wounds that you have seen created by multiple calibers. I don't mean what you've heard on YouTube. I don't mean what you read in a gun magazine. I don't mean what you read on somebody's ad that assured you that this thing is going to expand to this when it hits them. It don't always happen, buddy. Okay? I'm not Now, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm trying to teach those who resist learning. So, Simji pulled his gun, wounded Hyder multiple times before he was shot, and died at the scene. Okay, so caliber of gun? Who knows? Who knows? But I tell you what, I'll always go for bigger. Had it been bigger, would have been happened. Because it says that after he wounded Hyder, then he was shot. So she was able to take several hits, or at least more than one. And usually when they say multiple times, it would be more than two. But, I'll leave that there. And then the other thing is shot placement. Was he, where did he get her? And I'll guarantee you that this came as a result. He was probably not aggressively firing. He was defensive firing rather than offensive. And this is another key. If you get into a situation like this, you had better not be firing defensively. Now, that's something that I cover when I teach people shooting. And that's like the difference between, no, but get away, and this, bang, okay? I know, I just said bang. Going at them and going towards them and advancing on them and putting as much in them as you can until the threat is over. Simple. That comes from mindset. Paulus, who was not wounded in the shootout, called 911. So we don't know what, was the woman, was she put out of commission? Well, evidently not enough that she was able to kill that kid. But for some reason, they didn't shoot the girl. Here's another important point that I want to bring out, and this is about law enforcement. As officers were ordering the female to the ground, a 5-year-old child ran from the woods holding a loaded shotgun. This is the sheriff's saying. Law enforcement told the child. Did law enforcement shoot the child? No. They did not. They told the child to put the shotgun down. Did the child put the shotgun down? No. The child continued to the female's location. Did the law enforcement shoot him then after he didn't put the gun down? No. He continued to the female's location before laying the gun on the ground. Okay, now what I want to say about that. We have had a number of people who I don't know whether it's their lack of humanity or their lack of understanding in real world situations or their lack of responsibility talking. And usually these are people who have never been there, never done that, don't know. And they'll come out and say, well, yeah, but if a kid has a gun, a gun has no age. And they've said this when I and other people have criticized the police for shooting children. And one of which was some kid was killed in a park when it turned out he had a toy gun. And I said at the time, I would have done anything in the world not to shoot that kid. I won't go on, but here's the thing. These were obviously adult, responsible, professional, emotionally mature law enforcement officers. Their life could have been endangered by that child, but you know what they understood? That child was a child. And our job, when I was on, my job was to try to protect the innocent and those who could not protect themselves, and that includes children. And that would even include children who, not knowing what they're doing, not understanding the full force of their actions, might be a threat to me. You see, you do a little bit extra when it comes to kids. No, you don't. I read it in a gun magazine and I saw it on a YouTube that you can't take a chance. You've got to shoot that kid. I hear that and you're gone because you're not a person that I would want in my life. My Lord, what's wrong with you? This is a child. And sometimes an adult, especially someone who has assumed the responsibility to go out there and work a dangerous job in a dangerous world, these are the things that you assume. Now, could that kid have shot one of those guys? Yeah. Do you know people who have shot kids? I do. The torment they live with for the rest of their lives is something. Is something. It's not something that you want to carry because you want to talk big and tough and a gun has no age. And the torment, and I'm not saying don't shoot a kid so you won't be tormented. What I'm saying is the torment is there for a reason. The torment is the proper emotional response and baggage that a person carries for killing a child. Okay. I'll get off of that. I do get on these things sometimes because I get irritated when I read comments and I see things from people that I know don't know what they're talking about. And get back to the main issue, and that is this. Everywhere is dangerous. Nowhere is safe. The only safety you have is the safety you provide for yourself. A family sleeping alone out in a park in a tent. You're putting your life in the hands. I mean, out there, apparently it was, away from anybody else. These kids. Your defense is not your gun. An unarmed guy with a proper mindset, a survival mindset, an animalistic survival mindset would have done better in that situation than this poor kid who had his gun. I preach all the time, get away from putting so much emphasis on the tool, because your real weapon is this. And if this isn't properly engaged, you can have a stinking tank and it won't help you. Okay? I didn't mean to get so hard ass about this. But as I talk about these things, it comes to my mind how many of the asinine things that I hear from people getting into guns who have absolutely no understanding of the responsibility of having them, of carrying them, and the real danger of the world. They're just doing it because they think it's cool. You know what? We need fewer guys wearing the black t-shirts, and I know I wear black t-shirts a lot. We don't need all the tough sayings on t-shirts while you go to the range and can't figure out how to use your gun. We need more emotionally developed and street smart people in this world. Fewer soft people who think that something hard makes them tough. And more hard people who understand that that's just a tool, a way that they reach out with their main weapon, and that's the thing that needs to be developed. Okay, so I hope that this has made some sort of sense to you all. Getting your head right in this world is the number one step to making your world safe, and then you get the things that help you make it safe. Okay, remember, if you want to learn a lot about this stuff also, a lot of it's in here. The Stonemont series, our sponsor, my books. You'll like them. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And if both of those situations, if they had prepared well, meaning being sharper about how to handle life situations, they would have lived better, or at least lived tomorrow. Okay. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.